everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you my step-by-step process for drawing in my sketchbook. I use a Strathmore Tone Tan 9x12 sketchbook to do all my drawings. In step 1 of the drawing, I generally use either red or pink Bic pen to do my structure lines. Occasionally, I'll use light blue Bic pen to do my structure drawing, and that's just to mix things up, just to have a different color to kind of work with. But I'm real loose at this stage of the drawing. I'm just trying to figure out how I want the pose to be. I'm drawing from imagination for this drawing, so no reference. And even though a lot of times I'll use reference to learn, going back and forth for me, I feel like helps me a lot. For one, drawing from imagination is a lot more fun. But drawing from reference definitely helps me learn new things, and then when I draw from imagination, I try to implement those things. The reason I like the red or the pink, it just goes really well with the tan paper, I feel like, and I like the way those structure lines look at the end of the drawing. That's why I don't erase them. These rough, sketchy marks are going to stay there through the whole drawing. You'll see them at the end, and I don't mind them. For my sketchbook, I feel like it keeps me loose. I know from the start it's not going to be a perfect drawing, and I actually like that. I just feel like it gives it a look, kind of a life to it. I know, some people really like clean artwork, and I did for a really long time, but I found that a lot of times I would get really tight with my drawings, and I felt like drawing this way helps me do a lot more drawings and work faster. My instructors in college, my one instructor always used to say, make mistakes faster. It gets you to, a better answer in the end. So that's something I kind of have implemented into my sketchbook drawings and stuff. So as you see me add details in this stage, they're pretty rough details. In the later stages of the drawing, when I switch to a darker Bic pen, I'll really hone in the details of this stuff. But it's really important to me to get the total idea of the character in this stage. And I'm winging it right here. She's kind of like a punk cyborg girl. And as I draw certain things, like you saw me draw the hair right there, those are things that I'm like, I'll sit there and pause for a second after I get the structure of the character down, and I try and decide what kind of hair she's going to have. It's very spontaneous, and it's really enjoyable for me to work like this, because a lot of the time at the end of the drawing, it's as much a surprise for me, as it is for you guys when you see it finished. So during this drawing, I really didn't make any big mistakes. Occasionally, I'll draw a leg or an arm or something large and not like it, and I'll just straight up leave it there and redraw the arm. You'll see, if you look at or watch my sketchbook tours, you'll see big red marks that kind of go through the page and stuff. Those were major mistakes, and that's what I kind of mean by having to live with my mistakes and not care so much about making perfect drawings. Like I said, I feel like that's beneficial for me to not stay so tight and not worry so much. Also, one thing about adding details in at this stage is there's times where I get everything drawn in, and then later on, like when I get to the darker Bic pens, I'll add different details, and really after I've looked at the drawing a lot in this stage, I might change some small details and add some cool stuff to it. So step 2 of my process is to add shadows. I use several different types of markers to do this, but I always use purple or blue. So before you start laying down your shadows, you want to know where your light source is coming from, whether it's coming from directly above. In this case, I went with upper left, which is kind of my default. I do that a lot. But, figuring out your light source and understanding the shape of the object you're adding shadows to is key to this. That's a much more in-depth topic that I'm not going to go into in this video. But the reason the marker comes in at this stage for the shadows is your markers are going to cause the Bic pens to bleed a little bit. It doesn't matter that they bleed in this structure part of the drawing, because you're going to be going over your drawing with a darker Bic pen later on. And you don't want to add a whole lot of marker in that stage, because that'll cause your dark lines to kind of bleed a little bit. It doesn't hurt if you're doing little bits, but for me, I like to add in my shadows at this stage of the drawing. It also helps give the drawing structure at this stage, so you can kind of understand where to add in your really thick dark lines later on as well. So it's going to help you there. So the cool thing about markers is that they're transparent. That's definitely their strong suit. So these shadows that you're adding in now, when you add the color layer in next, they'll show through. You can go right over the top of these shadows with your colors, and it just adds so much structure to the drawing. It's awesome. In step 3 of the drawing, I add color. There's a few things I think about when I choose the colors. Is I like to use light colors, and the reason for that is the shadows show through a little bit better. Also, the tone tan paper will alter your colors a little bit, so they won't look exactly like they would on white paper. You can see this yellow I'm using right here kind of has a dingy look to it. I actually like that. That's why I like working on the tan paper. It adds like a mid-tone that affects all the colors. It kind of unifies the whole thing a little bit, in my opinion. I should mention that all the materials I'm using in this video, the sketchbook, the Bic pens, and these markers are all linked down below. So if you want to check them out on Amazon, you can do that. These markers, the ohuhu that I'm using, I'm going to be doing a video on these. I just discovered these. This is the first time I'm using them, and sometimes they're a little bit darker. This drawing definitely came out a little darker than I intended, but I'm liking these markers a lot. In step 4, I'm going to be adding all my dark lines to the drawing. Details, anything I want to fix, where the eyes are, how thick the eyebrows are, where they're placed even. Sometimes I'll totally ignore where I made pink lines. I add small textures in this stage. Basically, all my finish work kind of happens in this stage. I use purple and blue Bic pens. As you can see, I use 2 different types of Bic pens. This purple that I'm using right here is a Crystal Bic pen. I feel like the flow of the ink is a little bit heavier, so I tend to like it a lot for this. But these pens, the Crystal ones, don't shade as well, because you can shade with Bic pens. You see me do it in a lot of drawings and have like shading and stuff. But for some reason, I really like the way the purple looks. I don't like using black Bic pens for this stage. I have in the past, but I try and stay away from black. I know art teachers everywhere say stay away from black, so that's something, occasionally I'll use it though. It just has a different look. So right here, you actually see me pop in with a little bit of color. These are kind of hangovers from the cover layer. I didn't really make decisions on certain parts of it, and I kind of wanted to wait to see the drawing all together before I finished off some of the colors. And this is just kind of a preference thing for your color scheme. So step 5 is where you really make your drawing pop. So this is where I add all my highlights. I'll use a jelly roller pen. I have a few different brands of this, but 90% of the time I just use white jelly roller pen because I have a ton of them because I bought a bunch. So you don't want to add your jelly roller white highlights too often in your shadowed areas because they're supposed to be highlights. I occasionally do it on metallic things because you might get little spots of hot highlight. I'll also add slightly sketchier highlights to fabric and things like that. My bigger highlights always kind of go on skin or metallic things. I also will use the jelly roller pen to just draw shapes on my fabrics. And occasionally, you don't see me do it in this video, but I'll do some, let's say, textures or markings on parts or clothing, and then go over that with marker, and it kind of gives you colored highlights, which is kind of a cool effect. In step 6, I like to take either blue, purple, sometimes I'll use red as well, actually. This is where I add kind of line textures to just various, sometimes I'll add it to the shadows. I'll add it to clothing just to give clothing maybe a texture, like a fabric look. So when I get to this stage of the drawing, I'll take the dark pens or even the highlights or colors or whatever, and anything that's bugging me or flaws or something, I'll just kind of go over the drawing one more time, fix little things, get it pretty much exactly the way I think it should look. And I might look at the background at this stage. Normally I wait till the end to kind of put in my background. And so like her right here, I'm writing my name on the wall. This is kind of something I've never done before, but I'll just kind of draw in little environment stuff, or sometimes I'll just add in like you see me add in colored shapes into the background just to kind of, I don't know, give some design elements to the drawing. Pretty much the finishing touches. So that's pretty much my process, step by step, for drawing in my sketchbook. I'll change things up, use different colors, but this has been something I've stuck with for a while now. I really enjoy drawing this way. Like I said, not having to worry too much about making sure every little thing's perfect, especially in the beginning of the drawing, really helps me a lot. And I feel like there's a lot of areas to improve on this. And so I'm discovering kind of new things all the time. So it's a lot of fun. So like this is kind of a sneak peek of my next sketchbook tour, which is all Mandalorian stuff. But as you can see, you can get kind of realistic with the big pens as well. Well, that's the video, guys. I hope you liked it. Like I said before, all the products I used in this video are linked down below in case you're interested in buying them. I cannot wait to show you guys my next sketchbook tour. There's some really awesome drawings in the Mandalorian focused tour. So until then, I will catch you guys later.